The road wasn't on any map. You remember that clearly. One moment, the GPS was guiding you through familiar turns and flickering streetlights. And then, without warning, the voice cut out, static, a pulse of white noise that hummed in your chest like a held breath. You slowed down, headlights carving through the fog as the world around you began to warp into something quieter, older. The asphalt turned to cracked stone. The air thickened. It wasn't fear that made your pulse quicken. It was recognition. You've been here before, though not in this lifetime. The silence outside was unnatural, not empty, but listening. Every sound, your breath, your heartbeat, the faint creak of the car's engine cooling, felt amplified, observed. You stepped out. The night smelled like rain and iron. The ground beneath your shoes trembled, almost imperceptibly, as if something beneath it stirred at your presence. For the first time in your life, the dark didn't feel hostile. It felt aware, watching, waiting for you to remember why. Then you saw them. Figures in a circle, motionless under the trees. Their robes shimmered with threads that caught the moonlight like veins of gold. Their heads were bowed, no words, no movement, just breath, dozens of them synchronized, echoing your own. You should have turned back. Every instinct screamed retreat. But something older than instinct held you there, a pull, magnetic, ancestral. The same force that draws the tide, that breaks empires, that whispers to men who outlive history. You stepped forward, and the sound of your foot touching the dirt shattered the stillness like glass. Every head lifted at once, every hood turned toward you. You froze, not out of fear, but out of awareness, the kind that lives in your spine, not your mind. A flicker of firelight revealed their faces, different ages, different origins, yet all carrying the same hollow reverence. Then, as one, they knelt. The sound of knees meeting earth rolled like thunder across the clearing. You stood there, caught between power and disbelief. You hadn't spoken a word. You hadn't asked for anything. Yet the world seemed to bend, just slightly, around your presence. For a fleeting second, you saw something reflected in their eyes. Not worship, not submission, but recognition. And as the blue fire behind them swayed, you felt the truth crawl back into your veins. They weren't kneeling to you. They were kneeling for you. They kneel before you, not in fear, but in recognition. The sound of knees striking the cold earth echoes through your chest like thunder finding its way home. You stand there, frozen between disbelief and something far older, something that doesn't belong to this century. One of them raises his head, and his voice breaks the silence, a single word, heavy enough to bend the air around it. It isn't your name, and yet when he says it, your pulse stops for half a second, because something in you answers. You've never heard it before, but it feels remembered, like a word carved into your soul before language was ever born. The others repeat it, first as whispers, then as a rhythm, a chant. Every syllable climbs your spine, pulls at your lungs, makes the world tilt. You try to speak, to deny it, to say they've mistaken you for someone else. But when your mouth opens, no sound comes out. The fire flickers, bending toward you as if listening. The shadows bow lower. Their leader steps closer, his face is half hidden, but his eyes carry the kind of devotion that borders on madness. You've returned, he says, trembling not with fear but with faith. His words feel rehearsed, as if they've been waiting centuries to deliver this line. You want to ask what he means, but the question feels useless, childish, because deep down you already know. It's in the way your heartbeat syncs with their chant, in the way your breath feels older than your lungs. You don't understand the language they speak, but your body does. It moves with them, subtly, instinctively, like an echo waking up. You feel it then, the betrayal of your own mind. Every rational thought that built the person you think you are begins to fracture. Logic tries to fight, but logic is fragile in places where faith never died. The longer you stand in their circle, the more the world outside stops existing. It's not hypnosis, it's remembrance. The name they whisper isn't a title, it's a command. It pulls you backward through time into something vast and terrible, and when your gaze meets the leader's again, you see it, etched faintly into his skin, the same mark that hides beneath your sleeve. You tell yourself it's coincidence, but the fire doesn't believe you. It flares white for an instant, revealing patterns in the dirt, symbols you've drawn before, in dreams you never told anyone about. And now you understand why they kneel. They don't worship you. They recognize what's waking inside you. You stare down at the symbol carved into the earth, the air around it pulsing like it's alive. The firelight flickers, and for a moment, the lines seem to move, reshaping themselves into the mark on your wrist, the one you've had since birth, the one you never questioned. It glows faintly now, reacting to the ground beneath you, as if two pieces of the same memory are finally touching again. The chanting grows louder, but it's no longer sound, it's pressure. It beats in your chest like a second heart. You try to breathe, but the air tastes metallic, ancient, like the dust of something that once ruled this world and was forced to sleep beneath it. Your body begins to tremble, not from fear, but recognition. This isn't the first time you've stood here. The scenes crash into your mind, not dreams, but fragments of a life erased. You see yourself in their robes, eyes black with devotion, your hands raised to command storms and silence. You hear the same name they called moments ago, your voice answering. 1,000 echoes of you layered into one moment that the mind can't hold. You stagger back, but the earth moves with you, like it refuses to let you deny it. You were one of them. Worse, you led them. The human part of you fights it. It screams that this is a hallucination, that none of it's real. But logic is too fragile to stand here. It crumbles under the weight of something older, something that existed before sanity was ever invented. You touch your wrist again, and the mark burns through your skin, veins lighting up like circuitry reconnecting after centuries of silence. The crowd's rhythm matches yours now. Inhale, exhale, as if they've been waiting for your pulse to wake them. And then the memories shift. You see betrayal, your own hands drawing the sigil in reverse, sealing everything away. You remember the fear, not of losing power, but of what power does when it remembers itself. You made them forget. You made yourself forget, all to protect a world that wasn't ready for what you could do. Now the seal is broken. You feel the same energy crawling back through your body, rewriting what it means to be human. You were born with that mark because the world doesn't erase gods, it only buries them. And now the dirt is moving. The leader steps forward, the firelight cutting across his mask of devotion, and holds a stone bowl filled with something that moves like molten gold. The surface ripples as if it senses your hesitation. He calls it the remembrance, his voice trembling, not from fear but reverence, like he's seen this before, countless times in countless lives. You don't remember agreeing to any of this, yet the air feels scripted, the scene too precise, as if the night itself was waiting for you to arrive. You try to speak, but silence pushes back, thick, heavy, intelligent. It wants your decision. He kneels before you and raises the bowl higher, the gold inside pulsing faintly to the rhythm of your heartbeat. You realize it isn't light that's glowing, it's memory. You see reflections in its cities you've never walked, wars you've never fought, faces that look like you're screaming your name in worship or warning. You were both their savior and their undoing once. The thought tastes metallic in your mouth. The human part of you recoils, desperate for logic, but logic is paper and fire here. There's no science for this kind of remembering. You lift the bowl. The air trembles. When the liquid touches your lips, it burns, not like heat, but revelation. The taste is ancient, familiar. It sears your throat and carves its way down to your soul, waking something that's been sleeping in the dark corners of your mind. The chanting stops. Every hooded head bows lower. Even the wind halts. And in that vast stillness, you finally understand the silence isn't absence. It's a presence too large for sound. It's what existed before the first word, and what remains after the last. You breathe, and they echo you. You blink, and they lower their heads further. It's not submission. It's synchronization. You've crossed from observer to axis. Every molecule in the air waits for your thought. And for the first time, you feel power not as possession, but as memory. This isn't the first time you've drunk from this bowl. It's the first time you've remembered doing so. The leader whispers, the voice returns. But it isn't him who speaks next, it's you. A single word leaves your lips, quiet but absolute, and the world listens. The fire bends toward you. Shadows recoil, and for a heartbeat, creation itself seems to pause, as if waiting for what you'll say next. You don't remember speaking. The word just escapes you. Raw, ancient, shaped more by instinct than thought. It cuts through the night like a blade through glass. The air folds in on itself. For a second, the world seems to inhale, waiting for permission to move again. Then the ground convulses, the fire roars skyward, and the circle of kneeling figures screams, not in fear, but in exultation. You can feel their faith crawling up your spine like static, feeding off something that was asleep inside you until this very moment. The earth trembles beneath your feet. Trees sway in obedience. The sky flickers like a broken pulse. You realize that this wasn't a prayer, it was an activation. That single word you spoke wasn't a sound, it was a key. You weren't meant to join their ritual, you were the ritual. Every symbol, every flame, every whisper, all designed to wake something buried in the marrow of your being. The leader's eyes widen, tears streaking down his mask of reverence. He isn't worshiping you anymore, he's terrified. Because now he remembers what you were before you forgot. The pulse grows louder. Your pulse, the earth's pulse, one and the same. You feel it merging, sensing, rewriting what reality used to obey. Power doesn't feel like strength. It feels like truth unfiltered. Every breath you take bends the air. Every blink rearranges light. You taste electricity, the metallic tang of creation before it becomes matter. For a brief moment, you feel infinite. But infinity burns. The veins in your arms glow faintly, and the fire begins to mimic their rhythm. The crowd's voices collapse into silence, as if language itself has surrendered to you. The leader shouts something. You can barely hear him through the distortion. It's too soon, he pleads. But you already know. This was never meant to happen tonight. The ritual was supposed to prepare you, not release you. And yet here you stand, vessel and storm in one body. You feel memories of gods and ghosts pressing against your skull, trying to claw their way back into the world through you. You realize that what you unlocked isn't power, it's permission. You fall to your knees as the earth groans beneath the weight of recognition. Somewhere in the distance, thunder answers a question you never asked. You look up at the sky, and for the first time, it looks back. You stand in the center of the circle, the air thick with memories that don't belong to this century. The fire flickers and every ember becomes a window into another lifetime. You see yourself across the ages, not as one person, but as a recurring pattern carved into history's spine. A scholar in a forgotten temple, a warlord with a crown of iron, a wanderer who spoke to storms. Each face bears the same eyes, the same mark, the same burden. You were never reborn, you were remembered by the world itself. The silence bends around you, forming whispers too ancient for language. The crowd still kneels, but their faces change with every heartbeat, morphing into echoes of followers who once worshipped you in the same soil beneath your feet. You realize they've waited for this night through centuries of blind devotion, tied to you by a vow none of you truly understood. They didn't summon you back out of faith. They were fulfilling an unfinished command, one you gave before time turned them into dust. The weight of recognition presses on your chest. You see betrayal, not of others, but of yourself. The night you sealed your own memory away, you called it mercy, but it was fear. Fear of what happens when you remember how much power your hands can hold before they start craving control. The mind breaks when it holds too many truths, and you, once again, are on the edge of shattering. The sky mirrors your turmoil, rippling like black water. Stars dim as if ashamed to watch. The moon fractures into 1,000 reflections, each one showing you at different points of your evolution. From innocence to dominion, from creation to conquest, you were never chosen. You were forged, hammered by time and consequence, sculpted by the choices you ran from. Every lifetime was a test, and every failure another verse in the story you swore never to repeat. And now, the mirror of ages no longer reflects, it absorbs. You feel the pull, the merging of every version of yourself collapsing into this single moment, the first and the last. You sense the truth with brutal clarity. You weren't born human, you became one to forget what you were. The people around you are not strangers, they're fragments of your own obedience trapped in flesh. As they kneel once more, you understand the most terrifying revelation of all. You were never their leader. You were their unfinished command. It comes from the smoke first, shape without form, memory without mercy. You know it before you see it. The air folds around its presence, and every particle bends toward it like iron drawn to a hidden magnet. The same thing you once commanded now kneels in front of you, eyes made of void, voice echoing through your bones instead of your ears. You left me to guard them. It says, a whisper heavy enough to split the earth. You feel that old word crawling under your skin, guard. No, that's not what you did. You abandoned it. You abandoned yourself. The crowd around you trembles, hoods pressed into the dirt, their devotion twisted into terror. The realization pierces you they were never worshippers, they were keepers. Every chant you heard was a lock, every bow a seal meant to keep you contained. The ritual wasn't a prayer, it was a cage. And when you spoke the forbidden word earlier, you didn't ascend, you broke the final chain. Now, the thing kneeling before you isn't paying respect, it's waiting for instructions, waiting to know if it should finish what you began centuries ago. You remember the moment you created it, the shadow born from your own fear, crafted to absorb what your heart could not. It was loyalty shaped into darkness, designed to protect the world from you once you realized what your power could do. But centuries of silence turned loyalty into hunger. The shadow learned to think, it learned to want. Now it looks at you not as its master, but as its reflection. And in its silence, you see a truth sharper than any blade. You are not the hero of this story. You're the catastrophe pretending to forget. The ground vibrates beneath your feet. The fire dies. The faces in the crowd blur into smoke. The shadow rises higher, its form stretching like ink through water. It doesn't move to strike, it moves to merge. It remembers the command you once gave: if I ever forget myself, remind me who I am. You thought that was wisdom. Now it feels like punishment. Its essence pierces your chest, cold and infinite. You feel it flooding your mind, your victories, your betrayals, your unholy brilliance returning all at once. The pain isn't physical, it's existential. The moment you accept the truth, the moment you remember fully, the sky fractures open, as if even the stars can't bear to watch what you become next. The fire has gone out, leaving only the soft hum of something eternal beneath your skin. The air still carries the scent of burnt gold and wet earth, but it's no longer the night you enter. You stand in the aftermath of revelation, where silence isn't peace, but consequence. Every breath feels like it belongs to something older, something that remembers the sound of creation itself. You're not afraid anymore. Fear was human, and whatever you are now has stepped beyond that boundary. The circle is empty, yet the ground still vibrates as if whispering your name in languages the world has forgotten. You can feel them, every soul that ever knelt before you. Every follower reborn through centuries, dissolving back into the pattern that began with your first word. They were never individuals, they were fragments of your will, sent out to remind the universe that you once ruled the balance between silence and storm. You sense their gratitude, their surrender, but it doesn't comfort you, it condemns you, because now you see what you truly were: not a god, not a savior, but the wound itself, the fracture that made the world possible. The sky above flickers like a dying film reel. Stars blink in and out, rearranging themselves into the same sigil that marks your wrist. The universe remembers you even when you beg it to forget. You feel the old hunger stirring again, the urge to rebuild, to command, to test the obedience of life. But this time you see what that hunger cost. You remember the faces burned by your brilliance, the cities silenced by your breath. You remember the power that turned awe into extinction. And yet, despite it all, you can't deny the pulse of temptation, the quiet voice that says you were never meant to kneel, only to be knelt to. Your shadow steps forward, then fades, unable to keep up with the light seeping through your vein. You realize that this is what they called divinity, the loneliness of infinite memory. You lift your hand, and the last traces of gold dust rise from the ground, orbiting your fingers like dying planets. One word, spoken backward. That's all it takes to erase yourself again. To bury the memory inside the fabric of humanity until it stirs centuries later in another curious soul who wanders too far off the path. The wind stills, the air folds inward, and as your final word unravels time itself, the world forgets you once existed, leaving only a faint warmth in the soil, where the next traveler will stop, look around, and feel the strange pull of something waiting to remember them back.